Have you ever noticed that when you finally sit down to rest, something feels wrong? You check your phone, you think about unfinished tasks, you suddenly remember things you should be doing. Even when nothing urgent exists, your mind quietly whispers, "You're wasting time." So instead of relaxing, you feel tense, almost guilty. And people who experience this often don't realize something important. The discomfort isn't coming from laziness, it's coming from learning, very early in life, that rest had to be earned. Some people don't struggle with relaxation at all. They finish work, switch off, and genuinely unwind. But others carry an invisible pressure, even during weekends, even during vacations, even when they're exhausted. They feel responsible for being productive at all times. You'll notice it in small behaviors. They apologize for taking breaks. They feel uneasy watching movies during the day. They open laptops just to check something. They turn hobbies into goals. Even rest becomes another task to complete correctly. On the surface, it looks like discipline. But underneath, something else is happening. Because for many people, productivity didn't start as a choice. It started as emotional safety. Growing up, praise may have arrived only under certain conditions. Good grades, helping others, being responsible, achieving something noticeable. Love wasn't necessarily absent, but attention became linked to performance. You were celebrated when you succeeded, not necessarily when you simply existed. So the brain learned a quiet equation. Doing equals approval, resting equals risk. And children are incredibly good at adapting. They don't question the system. They become the system. The hardworking child, the reliable one, the mature one, the one who never causes trouble. And that identity feels safe, because being useful meant being valued. Over time, this conditioning becomes invisible. As adults, these individuals don't think, "I'm afraid of losing approval." Instead, they feel restless when inactive. Their nervous system associates stillness with vulnerability. When nothing is being achieved, a strange anxiety appears, almost like something bad might happen if they slow down. So they stay busy, not always because they want to, but because stopping feels emotionally unfamiliar. That's not ambition alone. That's protection. And here's where it gets interesting. The guilt around rest usually isn't about work at all. It's about worth. If your value was once measured by effort, achievement, or usefulness, then relaxation quietly threatens identity itself. Because if you're not producing, who are you? Without realizing it, rest begins to feel like losing definition. Productivity becomes proof of existence. You matter because you contribute. You belong because you perform. So relaxing doesn't feel neutral. It feels undeserved. You might notice how this shows up socially too. People who feel guilty resting often struggle to receive help. They feel uncomfortable when others take care of them. Compliments feel exaggerated. Doing nothing in front of others feels embarrassing. They stay mentally on, even during conversations, even during downtime. Their mind searches for ways to justify their presence, because somewhere deep down they learned presence alone might not be enough. What makes this pattern powerful is how socially rewarded it is. Society praises constant effort. The busy person is admired. The exhausted person is respected. The one who sacrifices rest is seen as committed. So the pattern hides easily. It looks responsible. It looks successful. It even looks admirable. But internally, there's often fatigue that never fully disappears. Because rest isn't experienced as restoration. It's experienced as interruption. Many adults like this don't actually know what relaxed rest feels like. Even during downtime, their body stays slightly alert. Thoughts continue organizing tomorrow, replaying conversations, planning improvements. The brain never fully exits performance mode. And over years, this creates a quiet emotional background noise, a sense that life is something to keep up with rather than live inside. Not because they lack gratitude, not because they're driven by greed, but because slowing down was never emotionally practiced. And the real irony is these individuals are often the ones others depend on most. They're dependable, capable, self-sufficient, but dependence flowed mostly in one direction. They learned to carry responsibility early, so relaxation now feels like abandoning duty, even when no one is asking anything from them anymore. The pressure continues internally. When you look closely, the guilt isn't irrational. It makes psychological sense. A child once discovered that effort brought connection. Achievement brought reassurance. Usefulness reduced uncertainty. So the adult keeps repeating what once worked, not consciously, but automatically. The mind protects familiar survival strategies long after survival is required. And once you see this pattern, something shifts. Rest stops looking like laziness. It starts revealing history. Moments of discomfort during relaxation aren't personal failures. They're echoes of earlier conditioning, old rules still running in a different environment. It was never random. It was learned. Some people grew up learning that love was steady. Others learned that it could quietly depend on performance. And those lessons don't disappear. They become identity. The person who always stays busy. The one who feels uneasy doing nothing. The one who feels guilty simply resting. Not broken, just adapted. And awareness changes something subtle. Because once you recognize that the guilt doesn't belong to the present moment, you begin to notice it differently. Almost like watching an old habit instead of obeying it. Once you see it, you can't completely unsee it. And sometimes, understanding the pattern is the first time rest stops feeling like something that must be earned. If this explained something you've quietly felt but never named, there's always more beneath the surface. Understanding yourself is where those patterns begin to make sense.